Okay, let's review references again. I'm going to use my dog class here, and I'm just the same one I used in the very first video, and I'm going to mess around with it down here. New class, test dog. Really, I'm testing reference. Class test dog. Again, this might be quite different than what you've been expecting to happen here. I can say like this: dog D1, dog D2, dog D3, dog D4. First thing you should notice is I actually have 0 dogs at this point in my code. There are no dog objects. For example, there's no word new, N-E-W. Then if I saw new, I know I'd have 4 dogs. At this point, I have 4 addresses, and you know, because they're instance variables, they're set to null. There are no dogs in this system right now. Let's make some. D1 equals new dog. And the dog, if you remember, it needs a name and a weight. So I'll say Benji 5.0. See if that compiles. It does. D2 equals D1. What happened here? I hope you can see there's only 1 dog at this point. And there are 2 names for it. It looks like this. In your memory, somewhere there's a cell 8321 with Benji weighing 5.0. And if I look at D1, what really happened is just got the address 8321. And when I look at D2, it got whatever's in D1, which is the address. So now whatever I do to D2, whatever I do to D1 will be reflected, of course, in both objects. There is no both objects. There is only one object. Let me prove that. I'm going to go back to the dog class and take the ability to change. Public void set name. String new name. Okay, now you can change the name. Name equals new name. This is the dog class. When we go back to test dog, you can let me try a few things. First I'll do system.out.println d1.getName. Clearly that will print out Benji. Might be a little less clear, but D2 is also the same address. It's the same object. This will also print out Benji. And finally, I want to print out just plain old D1 and D2. I've been telling you their addresses. Let's prove it. So I'm not printing out their name or their weight. I'm printing out the whole object. Benji is D1's name, Benji is D2's name, and you can see when I printed out the objects themselves, so it wasn't 8321, the address was some hex address, 76E8A7, and you can see these D1 and D2 are the same dog at the same address. Whatever I do to one is immediately apparent in the other one because it's the same object. Whatever I do to your comp1409 instructor, I also do to Jason Harrison. I also do to my son's dad. It's the same person. For example, d1.setName Scooby-Doo. And then I'll just print out all 4 things again. Let's see what happens. So I should see Benji, Benji, something at an address, same address. Scooby-Doo, Scooby-Doo, same address, same address. Sorry, I'll clear that and I'll run it again. Benji. I changed one of their names, and all references, all aliases, all pointers to that same object will see it. The object hasn't moved anywhere, but some of the data some of the data inside it has changed. If I make, so look at this, 32060C, a brand new object, they're located somewhere else in the memory. So Java's using all different parts of your memory. But when you create two aliases of each other, those are aliases of each other, they will always share the same address unless I rip them apart somehow. We won't do that. At this point, I have one dog, two aliases to that one dog, and two null objects. At this point you can say I don't have any dogs, no dogs, no dogs, no dogs. I have the capacity or ability to store the address of a dog, which I'm finally doing here. Same address is copied here. Whatever I do to one of these things will be reflected in the other one as well. There's nothing preventing me. I could also do this. Whatever. Just because D1 started out first does not mean that it has any extra powers over D2 or D3 or D4. All four addresses, pointers, aliases, references are created equal. They're just nicknames for the same object. If or when this one is done, for example, let's try this. So now I have four references to the single object. They all have the same address, in other words. D1 equals null. Is Benji still alive? It is. These ones still have an attachment to it. Right here, here, and here. If I was going to draw this, and I will for our sake here, I'm drawing this state. Okay, it looks like this. D1 equals new dog. Okay, Benji 5.0. Benji 5.0. That's some address. 1, 2, 4, 5. Okay, D1, if I look at it, it is 1, 2, 4, 5. D2, 1, 2, 4, 5. D3 has whatever's in D2. See? 1, 2, 4, 5. D4 has whatever's in D1. 1, 2, 4, 5. And then I change D1 null. No problem. That does not affect the address stored anywhere else. I still have three references to Benji. And for example, I can system.out.println D3's name here. System.out.println D3's.getName. D3 is a dog. Dogs have a getName method. I would expect to see Benji here, just because D